Tavern where our story begins, with a band of misfits and their original sins. Got a map in my pocket and a sword on my hip. Let me tell you about this adventurous trip. There's Hobbs, the bold, a tabaxi rogue, and a row and the druid's friend to every toad. Thorn the baker, who's totally not a warlock, and Echo Fire, whose punches make zombies drop. Doctors versus Dungeons. Versus Dungeons, break those chains. The DM is cackling behind their screen, planning the deadliest traps you've seen. But we'll face the dangers with dice in hand, creating legends across the land. Doctors versus Dungeons, hey, where fantasy reigns. Doctors versus Dungeons, break those chains.
All right. Been a bit of a hiatus, but welcome back to what is now episode 12 of Drs Vs Dungeons on StormWreck Isle. We're going to start this week not in the Crystal Cave at Seagrow, where we left our cliffhanger last time, as Erwin and Echofire and Thorn have discovered more things to fight. But we're actually going to take ourselves back to Neverwinter for now. One morning, misty, on the docks, where a certain individual is making their way along, dock to dock, deck to deck, smelling the fish, the fried bread on the air, searching for a ship that might carry him to StormWreck Island. Alan, welcome to Drs Vs Dungeons.
Thank you.
Would you like to give us an idea of the character that we would be seeing if we could see him on the docks in Neverwinter?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a Goliath, probably a little slimmer build, a little bit runty if you would picture your normal Goliath. You can certainly see he's come from far north in his distant past. He's got, it seems like normal hide kind of clothes from the north, but there's something different about them. He's got numerous amber necklaces and carved pieces of amber around on parts of his jewellery. He's also a single scrimshaw piece of an owl claw hanging a pendant around his neck. He doesn't seem to be carrying any obvious weapons, and he's got a large cooking pot strapped to his back, and he's carrying a tattered book. Looks like it's got bits of recipes sticking in and out. There's some leaves and herbs sticking out, and he's got a massive cooking pot strapped to his back as well.
Another chef.
Hey, we lost our chef. I'm replacing him for you.
So
dear. Don't
yeah.
be snarky, Erwin. You're going to want to be friends with this one.
So Ophian has a large pot strapped to his back, clearly a cooking pot. He's got some sort of component pouch which has also got various herbs in it, quite aromatic. And mechanically, he is a wizard. And his character quirk is going to be that he's a vegan. So he's trying to search for the greatest flavors to make people appreciate the value of plant-based diet.
He sees a particularly new-looking character. It catches his eye. Clean lines, polished brass fittings. There's a name painted along the side in delicate silver script. The pearl reversed. Probably, honestly, it's just that it looks pretty, and that's why you want to check it out. But you could approach the captain as a fairly weathered woman standing out the front, dealing with some stuff. You can approach her and ask about passage to wherever you'd like to go.
Yeah, good morning, fair captain. Might I inquire your name?
Jewel. Captain
Jewel.
Jewel.
Oh, lovely. I think it's the pieces of amber decoration says, have you seen any of this amber before? It's quite lovely.
Saying lots of things, mate.
Ah, straight to business, I can appreciate that. I wonder if you have heard of a great herb garden kept by a man named Tarek?
Tarek. Tarek. The name rings a bell. I'm not sure why. What?
Oh, yes, I
What
am.
are you asking me about a herb garden?
It is on some island off the coast. I'm seeking passage there. Maybe you can take me. I believe it's StormWreck Isle.
The moment you say the name, she stiffens. She mutters something deep and spitting and abyssal. And she says, "StormWreck? Not for gold, not for glory, not for the gods. I will not sail there again."
Ah, what about a fantastic recipe from my grandmother? It would be the talk of your ship when you set out on long voyages. I can offer you some herbs and a copy of my recipe.
What is it with you, chefs?
We just want to spread a good time. Well, perhaps if you refuse, you can point me in the direction of a braver character that can take me there.
Look, mate, no one ever wants to stay out the StormWreck, but by all means, try your luck elsewhere. I can't be bought. Not for there.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. I turn and I look at the polished brass fittings and the lovely clean lines of the ship, and then I start looking around for possibly a ship that's less discerning about where the jobs
Look,
come.
I was going to say, would you like to roll me an insight check? Or perception, you could pick, whichever you'd like.
Oh, an insight check.
Well, with that insight, there's something very interesting about this woman, you think to yourself as you walk away. That's obviously a very new ship, but she is obviously a very experienced captain. And you get the distinct impression that she might have personal reasons for not being willing to go back to StormWreck. And on that level roll of insight, I'm going to say you might even walk away wondering if her personal reasons for not wishing to return to that place could have anything to do with why she currently seems to have a very new ship.
I note that down in the back of my mind.
But
I have understanding of people not wanting to return to bits of their past that cause anguish.
sure. So you did say, though, that you might look for something a little bit simpler. So by all means, you moved on. You look for a humbler vessel and you find one with a patched sail, and there's a rather friendly-looking you think he's sunburned. He's a water ganassi, and you're not entirely sure you've ever seen a water ganassi before, but he's a slightly purpler colour than he ought to be. First mate, leaning against the rail. You can have a chat to that one.
Good day, sir. My name is Ophian. It seems I'm out of luck, so I come straight to it. I'm seeking passage to StormWreck Island, but I've had no success so far. Perhaps you were one of the braver souls that can take me there.
He raises an eyebrow, scratches his chin thoughtfully. Stonewrecker. A week ago, I'd have told you to try the bottom of the sea first. I mean, it's cursed. So folks say. But, I had some rumours. Things might be changing. Something about the peace returning or some shit like that. Look, we're passing by, actually. I'd be curious to see it with my own eyes, see if anything's changed. So, yeah. We can offer
Oh,
you
that's
passage.
that's wonderful. What is your name, good fellow?
Name's Doldrin. Doldrin Ma.
And perhaps how you can tell me how long this the journey to StormWreck Island is. I'm not familiar with this land. I've come seeking a well-known gardener, I believe. Maybe you've heard of Tarek?
Tarek. Oh, that's the herbalist, the one that makes the potions. Can't say I
Yes,
know him,
the
but
very same.
yeah, he's at the cloister there, I think, with Renara. Yes, I think that's him. I don't know.
Yes. Perhaps you can tell me when we might leave. I can prepare.
Ship goes in about 2 hours. He sort of does that. His finger holds it up to the air. This weather, if it holds, 2 days.
2 days. And you are well provisioned, or perhaps I can pay in kind for the transport. I have a
We
rough
don't need coin.
cooking pot.
Just, we expect that people will lend a hand when necessary. Cooking, eh?
Yes.
Mm. Don't
All
tell
of
the
the
chef I
cooking
said this, but we'd probably appreciate the help.
I will not interfere too much, but perhaps slip some wonderful herbs in.
Sounds all right.
2 hours. Is there anything I can do to help as we set off? Do I need to chat with the captain, or are you authorized to give me passage?
He chuckles slightly if you say that, and he says, "They don't call me the first mate for nothing. I'm
I see.
authorized. She
I
trusts me."
see. Excellent. And you've sailed the sea for a while. I see you have an affinity with the water.
Been at sea longer than I've been off it. Not that I'm keeping count. I first told rope at 12. First real storm at 14. First proper mutiny at 19. Life's simpler out there on the waves. Wind tells you where to go. Tide don't lie. Not like people do.
Yes, I know. I am from the north, and when the winter comes and the storms come down, the truth is the only thing that will hold you together.
He scratches his chin again, and he's sort of appraising you. And he says, not just good with the herbs, eh?
Long winters stuck inside my own mind will hopefully have a little bit of insight.
I don't think there's much that needs doing, at least out here, before we go. But if you want to head on board, go for it.
Yep, Ian doesn't have much in the way of baggage. He jumps aboard and goes to the indicated accommodation.
Sounds good. Yeah. Unless there is something that you would particularly like to do on the ship on the way there, I was not going to do the same mean thing to you as I did to the other guys on the way there. And I was just going to hand wave through to basically approaching Stormwreck. But if there's anything that you would like to do before you get there, let me know.
No, I don't believe. I'll just Ophian would generally be asking questions about local seaweeds or anything that would be of interest to a chef. He sees maybe some squid ink and asks a little bit about that. But no, he would just enjoy the fresh air.
You get mixed reactions from the crew for those sorts of questions. They would be friendly, but they'd be laughing a little bit just in the sense of you're asking questions about things that they don't think about, that don't matter to them. Seaweed is, they call it a weed in the sea for a reason. There's nothing great about it, just gets in the way. Even the chef is, look, chef is a rich word to be using for the chef. You've had plenty of home cooked meal over the years that was miles better than this option. You probably would find the crew grateful from you adding things in here and there. It was pretty bland. It's pretty basic. It's adequate from a nutrition perspective. but it's definitely nothing to write home about. They wouldn't. There's no one on this ship that would be able to give you useful information about actual sort of herbs or ingredients or anything like that perspective. They would be able to fill you in potentially just a little bit more on the concept of the history of Dragon's Rest if you wanted it, and of StormWreck in general, depending on
Yeah.
what you read when you were in the library at Waterdeep.
Yeah. Well, we can say that I would have done these conversations over meals, sharing out my various spice packets, and gathering these stories that we certainly go into details. If something comes up later on, we can, or I can just say, "Oh, let's remind me of the story."
Do I know
Right
this?
on the
Yes. Yeah, cool. Now we can do that. Awesome. So your journey is actually quite uneventful, and it is just a couple of days as he had predicted. And the crew are even commenting on the fact that they didn't get a storm this time. There's almost always a storm headed in this direction. But the morning of the third day, you wake to see an island visible off the bow of the ship. They may not be interested in the seaweed, but it shimmers in countless brilliant colours below you. And the rays of sunlight burst through the clouds and illuminate lush grass and a dark basalt rock of the cliffs of the island. And the ship makes its way towards a calmer harbour on sort of the northern aspects. I keep forgetting that the map that you guys have of this doesn't actually have the things marked on it, but so just let me quickly sort of say where I'm putting the little purple cross is where Dragon's Rest actually is. So that little bay in the north is where they're headed to. As the ship makes its way in, you can actually see a large open air temple that comes into view perched up on the cliff edge high above you. And if you did ask any of the sailors, they would be able to tell you that yes, that's Dragon's Rest. That's where you're headed to. The ship drops anchor at the mouth of the harbour. One sailor that you haven't interacted with much hops into a rowboat with you to take you in. He hums a sea-worn tune as the shore of the isle draws closer with each pull of his oars. The main ship just waits offshore, sails slack. The crew are eager to move on. The oarsman gives you a puzzled, curious glance. You do look a bit interesting. Towering Goliath, as you said, you're a little bit smaller than usual, but for these guys, you're still Goliath. You've got your travel stain satchel, your book of recipes, and your spell book. The rowboat scrapes against the pebbled beach, and you can step out onto it. Let's bring the beach just because we can. There we go. You step out onto the beach, and the warm sand shifts beneath your feet. Salt, seaweed, sun, driftwood, and you can smell something greener. Definitely herbal. You think the air carries a faint trace of rosemary, or maybe it's ash bark. Regardless, it's promising. You turn just in time to see the sailor give you a parting shrug. And he says, "Hope your gardener knows his mint from his mandrake. Be a shame if you came all this way for bad soup. Could have given you that on the ship." But then he's gone, rowing back, leaving you alone with the wind and the surf and the island that rises before you. You can essentially, like, I'm not even going to drop your token on this map because you're not going to need it, but I will just comment. So obviously you've been left off down here.
Yeah.
And over here is where you can head up pathwise. You do notice as you cross the beach that there is a sort of evidence of a largish fire pit that's been used fairly recently. A couple of times as you look down into the sand that you think you might see drops of blood, not fresh, definitely oxidized, but still there. But nothing seems to be jumping out scary or dangerous at this point in time.
I follow my nose away from the smoke and towards the smell plant matter that you described earlier.
Cool. Let me just grab your token. You should find yourself on that map now. You walk towards the... Sorry?
Yeah.
You walk towards the narrow path, and the crunch of sand gives way to a steadier stone. The gulls cry overhead, and the breeze carries still that strange mix of sort of salt and sage. And the path rises gently, winding between weathered rocks and gnarled trees. But down here at the bottom of the path, roll me a perception check. Or nature, whichever one you prefer.
We'll be looking at the nature around, so seeing immediately
Yeah.
if there's any plant life that's interesting. 10.
You're less struck by specific plants that might be interesting and more by the way that you're seeing plants, in that what you would expect along a rocky path up the side of a cliff are just wild groves. Weeds, little bits just sort of sticking out. But what you can actually see is that there are down here some well-cultivated actual garden beds. There are no weeds. It's been beautifully looked after. You probably actually don't notice some of the more interesting plants in these little gardens because you're more fascinated by the fact that there are gardens.
Yes. Ophian feels hope that these notes that he's found on Tarek and some of the rumors are going to be true, and he is a gardener and a herbalist of some renown.
As you move up the path a little bit further, and if you want to try doing that yourself, just to double check that I've adequately given you, you should have control of that token. It's a good chance just to make sure that you do. If you don't, let me know.
I don't.
Not working?
That's right.
Cool. No, this is why we do this.
You can stall me for the time being.
No,
I can see everything.
Let me
So
try
that's
again.
fine.
Yeah. I'll move you for now. Try again in a moment, but yeah. As you move up, kneeling between two rows of thyme and peppers is a man in a wide-brimmed straw hat. And he stands as you approach. He's a human, middle-aged, pale skin that's tanned darker, mostly by his freckles. Auburn hair for the bits that you can see poking out under the hat. A beard that was clearly once auburn, but now is mostly grey. Faded tattoos, dirt-stained robes. And he stands up and he looks you up and down. His eyes are kind and his mouth is curling into a welcoming smile. And he says, "Didn't expect company today. You look like you've come a long way."
It's been a very long journey, further than you can believe, but I've only recently come upon the interests of gardens that are grown here. Perhaps you could, you wouldn't happen to be Tarek, would you?
Oh, I need to roll something for the way that you've asked that. Hold on one sec. Mm.
This is the shortest introduction in history, and then Tarek murders you.
I thought the ship voyage was too easy.
See,
He's a level 20 rogue. Well,
the friendliness leaves his eyes. He wipes his hands down the front of his pants and he says, "Who's asking?"
Ian begins to realize that something he has said has triggered this response, but he's not really sure. He's like, "Can I please start again? My name is Ophian. I am currently looking for wonderful herbs to increase the flavors of my lovely meals. I was doing some research in Waterdeep, and your name was jotted on some of the margins of some of the more magical books on herbs and special things like this. I purely have an interest in the herbs that you're growing here, and I've heard, and there's been some talk that you grow and produce potions that do wonders for the book. I show him my recipe book, which is clearly old and it's got herbs and dried leaves and stuff falling out of it, and gesture that this is the evidence that this is why I've come.
There's a flicker of emotions across his face as you're talking. So, look, as I said, he was incredibly friendly when you first arrived. And the fact that you immediately asked for a Tarek by name made him clearly quite uncomfortable, very wary, definitely not friendly. Then you started talking about herbs, and a glint returned to his eyes, like when you've mentioned a child's favorite TV show. And he got almost excited for a moment. And then you mentioned books in the library in Waterdeep. And when he started to look a little bit wary again, I am going to comment that he has a number of faded tattoos peeking up the side of his neck, as I said before. And one of them is a gold hangman's noose. Now, on account of your backgrounds that I know more about, that obviously others here or watching don't yet, I'd like to ask you to roll me a history check. And on account of your background, I'm going to allow you to roll it with advantage.
Okay, lovely.
don't roll it too well again. Level 20 rogue dead.
Yeah.
He's retiring the job.
Poor Alan. Well, Alan is like, I just wanted to play D&D. Am I dying tonight?
That's right. I just want to nerd out about herbs and stuff with this gardener guy. Did that come through?
Was 8 the better option?
Yeah. It was a 2 and a 6 on the die.
Sometimes the dice are.
I'm just fully nerding out. I'm just like, I'm not. Like, I glance at the tattoos and see like, oh yeah, but look at this herb here in this recipe book. Does this look similar to the one that you're growing in this particular garden bed here? It looks slightly
Yep.
different. What compost are you using?
He still seems a little bit uncertain about how to exactly to respond to you, but he says, and so what exactly are you seeking from this, Tarek?
I've heard that he has a wonderful way with plants, and I myself have
He does,
forsaken all meat and animal products, so I exist purely on a diet of plants. So anything I can do to improve the flavor and perhaps encourage other people to do the same thing, I'm keen to learn more. And I suppose I've learned all that I can from the books. So now I've come out and in search of more practical knowledge. And it says that one of the books in the margins said there was a partial recipe for some soup that you had made that was very restorative, but some of the ink had faded, so I couldn't really make it out. So I've come here for some clarification, and I show the recipe book, and I've show the recipe
that you've half written.
half written down.
Yeah, that helps. He seems to soften a little again. He's still not quite as open and friendly as he was when you first arrived. But he finally holds out one of his dirt-stained hands to you and says, "Yeah, I'm Tarek." And then he just starts. Why is my child's iPad going off? Then he just starts to info dump. You'd mentioned quite a few things. You'd asked a few questions in the process of trying to get him back on side. And although it may have seemed like a lot of them fell on deaf ears, like seeds on hard ground, actually he'd taken all of them in and heard them and remembered them. And he has answers for every single one. And he will just start talking about the herbs that he has and what he likes and what compost he uses and why it's better than other options. And he'll say he actually hasn't made that soup for many years. He'd forgotten about it because, let's be honest, there are just so many wonderful things that you can cook these days. And so you get excited and you make something new, and then you forget the fact that you could actually make something else that you'd made a while back until someone reminds you and they say they liked it and they want you to make it again. And he hasn't made that soup in years. So maybe... yes, no, look, the first harvest has come through. We could probably make it tonight if you wanted. And he just completely info dumps, answers questions.
You can tell that he's been living amongst Olol.
Ophian just laps it all up, and he starts pulling out his riding implements, and then realizes that he's halfway up this walking track with like the water below him, and then just absorbs all of this knowledge from this wonderful person giving it to him and talking about plants like he hasn't been able to talk about plants and food with anyone else in quite some time.
Lovely. Welcome to Dragon's Rest.
Well, thank you. Maybe
Given that
maybe we can get started on the soups, and we.
Yeah, you know what? I reckon essentially he'll definitely teach you that soup recipe. So everyone's having soup for dinner tonight. I'll have the recipe for you by next week. But that's a nice introduction to getting you here. Hopefully next week we have enough people that we can finish those damn caves and get the poor druid her pet. Her second pet. She already has an owl. She really wants a myconid. I don't know if she's actually going to get a myconid.
Flame snake?
I was going to say, do you want... Oh, good luck with the flame snake, but do you want one of the theme drakes maybe?
Hobbs doesn't like them very much. So yes, yeah, that'd be great.
All right, well, if you can work out how you're going to convince...
Drake and dragon,
convince...
isn't it? I still
Yeah.
can't think of an animal, right? This is needs to be a beast. So it's gonna have to be
is the
Albert. We're gonna have to walk back.
Is the flame snake a beast?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me just check its stats. I think it's a monster technically.
Or an elemental or something.
It's a medium elemental. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
No, look, just get
I
it
get
to take you back by an owlbear and you
Yeah,
can...
we'll just pick up Albert on the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can have owlbear.
Okay.
He likes
Alright.
you now.
Yeah.
He likes you now. Yeah. Cool.
He's gonna have I'm gonna get him to rifle through Thorn's stuff when we get back to the camp. Have Thorn's adventuring gear.
Mm, Thorn will probably keep some of it with him actually.
Okay.
Unless you've been stealing it from him, but Erwin doesn't strike me as the petty.
She hasn't got
thief.
hasn't hit the plateau stage of her life yet.
Yeah.
She is vegan though, so she does look forward to an opportunity to talk vegan stuff with our new plant.
When Othian was like, "Do you think I could bring a vegan to the island?" It was like, "Yes, I think you can."
Does he do CrossFit?
Of course. That's
Yeah,
how
perfect.
that's
Yeah,
part of the
he
reason
would.
he stays so fit. Yeah.
Okay, easy, sold.
Can I just say, Erwin, you should be grateful that Ark and Lexi disappeared because Lexi would have backhanded you for saying that about wanting to do CrossFit.
It's not good for you. It's important. You got to lift. Just got to lift.
Yeah.
As
Lexi, seriously, would be
wise
like-
bard Shannon Knoll once said.
First,
Yeah.
she's a fucking vegan. Now she does CrossFit.
Yeah, I mean, everyone
Lexi
lives
would not
by
understand.
experience. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun time.
Thank you very much, sir. Sean,
That's
sorry
all
I didn't get
Welcome.
to
No,
do
man,
it, so
no,
listen.
no, it's okay. And an occasional light comic relief, it's fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll try and
so
keep it
that's fine.
occasional.
Oh, we love comic relief. That's always good. But yeah, I think we had.
I'm disappointed you couldn't convince Captain Jewel to let you on board. I can't imagine what she possibly was traumatized by.
No, it's not at all possible that she was in a storm wreck just because of a damn tabaxi, then had to fight harpies and zombies. And it's definitely not possible that she and her first mate are the only people left alive from her crew.
Yeah, they did. They
No,
definitely
no.
didn't have a good time.
So, yeah.
But obviously, the treasure was enough to buy a new boat. You know.
And quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And a much nicer name, I think, than Carrick McCarrickface.
Yes, yes. She was not going to have another Carrick with that sort of name.
Carrot.
The DM,
Carrot face.
no, Carrick McCarrickface.
Okay.
The DM had not thought to name the ship last time before the players arrived and the players named the ship. The DM learned her lesson.
Yeah,
She's
the
like,
rip
I'm
name's
naming
rough,
this
man.
one.
Yeah,
I am
name
naming
everything. Everything has a name.
Yeah. Every NPC, everything has to have a name. Dear. All good.
All right.
Good.
End recording.
End recording.
Welcome to the tavern where our story begins, with a band of misfits and their original sins. Got a map in my pocket and a sword on my hip. Let me tell you about this adventurous trip. There's Hobbs, the bold, a tabaxi rogue, and a row and the druid's friend to every toad. Thorn the baker, who's totally not a warlock, and Echo Fire, whose punches make zombies drop. Doctors versus Dungeons, where fantasy reigns. Doctors versus Dungeons, break those chains. The DM is cackling behind their screen, planning the deadliest traps you've seen. But we'll face the day